Hey everybody, welcome to Camp Jackson Overland and welcome to the kitchen. This video is one of our cooking videos and we'll do both. We do the build on the Overland truck, the F-250, and the cooking videos. Because if you're going to be out there on the road, you're going to need to know how to cook as well. So this one is by special request. This one, Trish, this one's just for you. Super simple, easy way of making steak. I have a couple of New York strip steaks here. They're at least an inch thick. And we're going to do some pan-seared asparagus to go with it. Very simple, very few ingredients that you need for any of it. And we're going to do what's called a reverse sear on the steaks. So, ingredient-wise for everything, we have New York strip steaks, ribeye steaks, your choice. We have some fresh asparagus. We have lemon for the asparagus. Fresh Parmesan cheese to go on the asparagus, salt, pepper, and these are coarse sea salt and coarse black pepper, fresh garlic cloves, and some tablespoons of butter here, and of course, oil. This is canola oil. Do not use olive oil. Olive oil is not a high heat oil. It'll burn. It does not have, the smoke point of it is too low. So use a vegetable oil or canola oil. This happens to be canola oil. All right, let's get the cutting board cleared off here and get these steaks trimmed up a little bit. I do have the oven preheated to 250 degrees. Like I said, we're going to do a reverse sear on these where they'll go in the oven first and get them close to the correct temperature, and then we will sear them off in a cast iron skillet after that. Of course, we got to get these steaks, we want to make sure they're trimmed up, and they have been out at room temperature for at least 20 minutes. We do not want to try and cook a cold steak. You'll burn the outside of it before you ever get the inside cooked. Got my towel here. And in your kitchen knives, make sure they're sharp. Sharpen them every time. However, whatever you choose to use. I use a whetstone. You can use a sharpening steel. You can use an electric sharpener. Just make sure your knives are sharpened every time when you start. Alright, let's get these trimmed up, and when I do the second one, I'll bring the other camera in close so you can see what I'm doing. And we just want to leave about a 1/4 inch or so, maybe 1/8 of an inch of fat on there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Very little trimming. Like I said, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. And they're ready to go. Now, seasoning on steak, you really don't need to overdo it on steak. The flavor of steak in itself is so good. There's so many different marinades and everything else out there that you can do. I prefer to keep it, like I said, very simple. We have coarse sea salt here. And be very generous with the seasoning. And if you're doing like me here, one hand handles the meat, one hand is clean, so I'm not contaminating my salt and pepper bowls here or anything else with the raw meat. Coarse black pepper. And be generous with that seasoning. Make sure you get all sides of it. Okay. And all the seasoning that hit the cutting board, get the edges. You can mop that up with that steak real good. A little bit more there on that one. And we're going to put this, I have a baking sheet here with a wire rack on it. And we're just going to lay those steaks on there and get them off into the oven. All right, into the oven. The oven has been preset and preheated to 250 degrees. And we're going to put them in there for 30 minutes. Then they're going to come out and get seared into the skillet along with some garlic cloves, some butter, and some fresh thyme. And a little bit of canola oil. So let me get these in, and then we'll come back in 30 minutes. All right, steaks have been in the oven near 30 minutes now. We still got 2 or 3 minutes left to go, which is good. And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get the asparagus ready. One thing I forgot to mention in the beginning, for the steaks, we will need some fresh sprigs of thyme. So we're just going to lay that there with the garlic. On the asparagus, these have already been cleaned and rinsed and dried. There's the part you want to eat, and then there's a woody part here at the end. Easiest way to find out where that separation is just simply grab the asparagus. Well, that one's a little on the weak side, isn't it? Let's try a different one. They're all a little, there it goes. So that's the woody part. I'm going to get rid of that. And we're going to line these all up and use this as a guide. And that's where we're going to cut these at. That's the woody part that we want to get rid of. That's the part that we want to eat. So those are ready, and we're also going to need a couple of cloves of garlic to go with the steak. Got 3 of them there, pretty good sized. Let's see if we can break out one more here. Now for the steak, you do not need to peel this garlic. Just leave the skin and everything on. And all we're going to do is take those garlic cloves, take the side of a good knife, lay it on there, and give them a smash. So just give them a good smash to release the oils in them. And that will work. All right, we got all the ingredients ready to go. Let's get the steaks seared and get them resting, and then we'll do the asparagus. So let me get the camera moved over here where you can see better, and we'll be right back. Okay, we've got our steaks here. They're out of the oven. Let's get this pan nice and hot. And we want it pretty hot. We want to hear that sear on this steak. So we're going to let this heat up for just a minute. And as soon as it is, I'll come back. We'll get a little bit of oil in the pan and get these steaks in, get them seared off. All right, you can see this pan's getting nice and hot. You can see a little smoke coming off of it. That's what we want. A couple tablespoons of oil in there. And this is going to smoke quite a bit when we throw these in, but we want to hear that sizzle on them. If you don't hear that, you're just steaming it, not cooking it or searing it. All right, 30, 60 seconds on each side. Do the edges. They'll be done and ready to go. We have our other ingredients here. We have some butter to go in there. We have fresh sprigs of thyme and our garlic cloves that we smashed. All right, give these a flip. Can you see that sear on those? Now this is the time where we want to throw in our garlic. We want to throw in some fresh sprigs of thyme. Just tear them off of there. And we want some butter. I'll throw in probably 4 tablespoons in here. Throw some of them up there on top. We want to baste everything on the steaks with the garlic and the thyme. Cut. Spoon. And we want to baste this. Make sure we do them edges pretty good. We want to render any of that fat on the edges. And these are done. We're going to take them out and let them rest. We'll lay some of the garlic and thyme on top, so as they're resting, they're still infusing some of the flavor. Get that pan off of the heat. There we go. Like I said, we're going to tent these with some foil and let them rest. Don't wrap them up real tight. We just want to let them rest. We want the juice in them to redistribute throughout, and they'll be perfectly tender and should be a good medium rare. If you're not sure about testing, you can get to where you can feel by touch, or if you need to, you can temp them with a instant read thermometer. Now let's get the asparagus going. Get us another skillet here, and again we want to get the skillet hot. So let's heat this one up and we'll grab the asparagus and get those done. All right, we got the pan nice and hot here. Let's get our asparagus in. And we're going to put these in dry. We want to dry out the skins real good. And we're just going to let these go just for a couple of minutes here. We're going to keep turning them. And then we're going to add some oil, cheese, lemon zest, butter, salt, pepper, which I have all of that right here with me. So we just want to get these nice and hot and dry it out a bit. And when we add the oil, you're going to hear that sizzle and pop and crack as we get them blistered real good. Okay, time for the oil. Now you can hear them. And these are some fairly small ones. The store we picked them up at is not one of my favorites. Typically we'll go to Kroger for our food, but it's not where these came from. Sometimes you work with what you got. We just want to give these probably 45 to 60 seconds on each side. We want to get them blistered pretty good. We don't want them to turn to mush, but we do need them blistered up. Alright, that's about all we're looking for there on that part. Now we're going to add in a tablespoon of butter in there, and maybe add a little extra. A little bit of salt. And some coarse black pepper. Lemon zest. And the cheese. And this is fresh Parmesan cheese. Don't overdo it on the cheese here. Okay, I took the time, got everything plated up, and that's something else that comes to mind too. Is sure, you can throw everything on a paper plate and give your guest a plastic fork if you want to, or hell, just let them eat with their hands. But the next level, food needs to taste good, and to get to that next level, you need to take a little time to plate it, because you eat with your eyes first. So it needs to look appetizing, therefore it will taste better. In this here, I mean, if you know, I don't do a great job at it, but I try, and you should too. If you're not sure how to make something look good on the plate, just Google it. Look it up, say how to plate, and then how to plate hamburgers, how to plate steak, how to plate green beans. Pick one, whatever you're making. Look it up and just look at the pictures. Find one that you like and try and duplicate it. You'll be much happier that you did, and so will your guests. So, this is done. I'm ready to eat. I'm sure my wife is ready to eat. And Trish, now you think you can make this?